Hello, BookTube, YouTube. This is Johnny. Down on the lower level. And it is a Monday here in West Michigan. It is 1:33 in the afternoon. It is July the 4th, 2022. And I'm feeling kind of tired because I got up around 6 this morning because my wife and I went to a book sale, a used book sale in Grand Rapids, which is about 44 minutes from where we live, going east. And we had been going to this 4th of July book sale for, well, I looked on my live journal and see how many years we have gone to it. Well, the last year I went by myself, and that was in 2018. But before that, we had gone 2017, 2016, and I think 2015. And we would go to this used book sale. It's by Cascade Library, which is east of Grand Rapids. And we would go there, and usually the book sale is outside on tables, but today they had it inside. They had some tables outside, but most of the books were inside the library. And they have a big conference room in this library. So we went there this morning. We had to get up really early because it started at 8:30. And I like to be in line at least by 8. I think we got there about 10 after 8. And I was surprised. It was a very small crowd. Not like other years where it was just, you had police directing traffic, and it was kind of very low key. So my wife and I, we were in line, and 8:30 they opened the doors, and right by the door going into the library, they had the table of the biographies. As you all know, when I go to a used book sale, the first thing I go to is biographies, letters, memoirs, autobiographies, letters, and then I found a few things there, and then I went into the library and went to nonfiction. And then I went after nonfiction. I think nonfiction was called history. Usually they have a history, and I didn't see any table with history. So the history must have been mixed in with nonfiction. Unless I just didn't see any history table. Because when I go into a used book sale, I go into another zone. I kind of blank out, and I go into this state of being, or I'm just so focused because there's people all around, and I have a thing I drag that I throw books into, and then when it gets really full, and then I tell Carol, hey, it's time to split the scene. We could have stayed because they were putting more books out, but as you all know, there's a book sale this month at the library that I volunteer at, the Book Nook, the Friends of the Library used book sale. And so I'm sure I'll find some more books. And plus, hey, I got all the books I need. But I'm going to show you the books I got this morning. Carol, also when she's looking at books, she knows kind of things I like, and then she'll find me and she, hey, do you have this? Do you have that? But she found this book on Bob Dylan. As you all know, I'm into Bob Dylan, and I have a Bob Dylan collection. I'm not really crazy. I'm not a fanatic, but if I see something at a used book sale or the Book Nook or someplace, I'll grab it if it's cheap. And this is Bob Dylan by Daniel Kramer. It's kind of like in his early days. This was first published in 1967. So it's really early Bob Dylan. And you can tell because it has him with Joan Baez, which he dumped her. Sad to say. But so yeah, goes in. That's mostly photographs of early Bob Dylan, black and white, and so it goes into my Bob Dylan collection. And then I found Anne Sexton, Self-Portrait in Letters, edited by Linda Gray Sexton and Lois Ames. Anne Sexton is one of my favorite poets. I have a collection of her poetry. Love poems, 45th Mercy Street, The Book of Folly, and then I have a biography, Anne Sexton, a biography by Diana Wood Middlebrook, and then I have the complete poems of Anna Sexton. So now I have letters, and it has different things. So that goes into my Anna Sexton collection. I really like her raw, self-confessional poetry. And then I found a biography on Edison. This is by Edmund Morris, and Edmund Morris. He wrote that very famous trilogy biography on Theodore Roosevelt, and he's written biographies on Ronald Reagan, Dutch, a memoir of Ronald Reagan, Theodore Rex. He's written other biographies. See if they list him here and here. But he's known for his trilogy on Theodore Roosevelt. This is his one on Edmund Wilson. And then I found I went to the classic table, the classics, and I found this Occult, a history by, things went out of focus, by Colin Wilson. It's an older book. It came out in 1971, but I kind of collect books like this. I have one over here. I bought it at some used book sale, from Phoenix to Christ, an occult history. And there's a chapter on the world of Kabbalists, 2 Russian Magi's, just on the occult. So. And then I found this book of essays by N. Scott Monaday, winner of the Pulitzer Prize for Fiction, The Man Made of Words. I thought he had this book, it's very famous, it's called The House Made of Dawn, and I had it, and I can't find it, but this is his essays. I think these are essays, stories, and passages. So I found that. Then I found a New York Review book, Onward and Upward in the Garden by Katharine S. White. I had this in another paperback, but this is about gardening. She was the wife of E.B. White, and she worked for the New Yorker magazine. But I found this paperback. I collect these, that's why I grabbed it, even though I already had it in a different edition. I just like these, so I picked that up. Take off the sticker here. So I got that. I never heard of this novelist, Mike Roberts, Cannibals in Love, but it just kind of looked interesting. It says here in the back, soulful, gritty, hilarious. Cannibals in Love is an unapologetic manifesto for the generation that came of age at the dawn of the 21st century. Mike is about to graduate from college and inherit a world far different from the one he was promised. The World Trade Center has fallen. The Beltway sniper terrorizes the nation's capital, and a polarizing president pushes forward a dubious war, shrinking the chaos of this new America into an 18 vignettes of ecstatic violence, maddening love, and cascade of humiliating jobs. So I picked that up. I collect the writings of Joseph Campbell, his short stories, his novels, biographies, literary studies, and I found this biography in the life of Joseph Conrad by John Batchelor, and so I put that in my Joseph Conrad collection. I like biographies on musicians, music artists, and one of the most greatest and one of my favorite classical composers is Mozart, and I found this Mozart, a culture biography by Robert W. Gutman. So, and then I have a huge Henry Adams collection over there, who wrote The Education of Henry Adams, which is one of the great American books. And this is Grover, the tragic love story of Grover and Henry Adams and their brilliant life in America's Gilded Age by Otto Friedrich. I have other biographies. He wrote one on, he wrote a biography, what's it called? I have a couple other ones. Ghoul. I have his book Before the Deluge, A Portrait of Berlin in the 1920s. Clover. So I have other books by him. It's Clover. I don't know why I call it Grover. It's Clover. And this is by Otto Friedrich. And yeah, Clover committed suicide. It was very tragic. That goes to my Henry Adams collection. And then this is about the Scarlet Sisters, sex, suffrage, and scandal in the Gilded Age by Myra McPherson. Victoria Woodhouse and Tennessee Teeny Glaffin, the most fascinating and scandalous sisters in American history, were unequaled in their vastly avant-garde crusade for women's physical, political, and sexual independence. They escaped the tollery, childhood, and became rich and famous, achieving a stunning list of firsts. In 1870, they became the first women to open a brokerage firm, not to be repeated for nearly a century. And it goes on. But I'm into the suffrage movement, and I have another biography on Victoria Woodhull. This is called Notorious Victoria, The Life of Victoria Woodhull, Uncensored. So, and then I picked up this book on, I like the books on writing and writers, and this is Writing Down the Bones, Freeing the Writer Within by Natalie Goldberg. I have two other books by her. Natalie Goldberg, Wild Mind, Living the Writer's Life. And then I read this one recently, Long Quiet Highway, Waking Up in America by Natalie Goldberg. This is the book she's most famous for, Writing Down the Bones, Freeing the Writer Within. And then I found Theodor Reik, Love and Lust. I first heard about him in reading The Life of William Burroughs. This is Love and Lust, the Psychoanalysis of Romantic and Sexual Emotions. This was published in 1941. It's on psychoanalysis. I have his other book, Masticism in Sex and Society by Dr. Rick. So I have another one, Love and Lust. And then I found this novel by an Ukrainian writer, Ambassador of the Dead, a novel by, I can't pronounce his name, but it's translated. It didn't say it's translated, but it was recommended by James Carroll. I used to collect all his writings. I think I behauled them last summer, but I'm not really sure. But this is Ambassador of the Dead. So I grabbed it. This is a memoir of a Russian who went through the Gulag and prison camps in Russia. It was published during the time of Stalin. Well, this came out in 1967. Witness and victim of Stalin's reign of terror, a courageous woman tells the full story of her harrowing 18-year odyssey through Russia's prisons and labor camps. Journey into the Whirlwind by Eugenia Simonovia Ginsburg. And this is by a travel writer, Gary Gills, Kingdom, the 10,000 Things, an impossible journey from Kabul to Chiapas. And I don't know where, I like travel memoirs, even though I don't like to travel. An extraordinary 50,000-mile journey. Gary Gills follows the trail of the legendary Hushishan, the Afghan monk who fled from Kabul to China, crossed the Pacific to North America 1,000 years before Columbus. The Kingdom of the 10,000 Things. So it looked kind of interesting. Carol found this book for me. She knows I collect books on Venice, European history. This is The City of Fortune, How Venice Ruled the Seas by Roger Crawley. I have another book of his over there on the history section. I think it was titled Empires of the Sea. I have over there. So I found this City of Fortune, How Venice Ruled the Seas by Roger Crowley, author of Empires of the Sea. This is another travel memoir, White Fever, A Journey to the Frozen Heart of Siberia by Jacques Hugo Badger. No one in their right mind travels across Siberia in the middle of winter in a modified Russian Jeep with only a CD player, which breaks on the first day. For company, Jacques Hugo Badger is no ordinary traveler. As his 50th birthday presents to himself, he sets out to drive from Moscow to Vladivostok, traversing a continent that is 2.5 times bigger than America, not always fully equipped with roads, awash with bandits. But if his mission sounds deranged, it is in keeping with the land he is visiting. For Siberia is slowly dying, or more accurately, killing itself. This is a traumatized post-communist landscape, peopled by the homeless and the hopeless. And this came out in 2011. And then I found The Missionary and the Libertine, Love and War in the East and West by Ian Burma. These are essays. I have his book, Occidentalism, the West in the Eyes of Its Enemies by Ian Burma and Avishta, somebody. So I picked this book up by him. The Missionary and the Libertine, Love and War in East and West by Ian Burama. And then I found this little book on ancient Akkor. It's a travel book on this ancient ruins in, I think, in Southeast Asia. The Buddhist kings created magnificent temples in stone. Can't remember exactly where these are. My mind went blank. But I just like little books like this. I can put down by my. There's a picture of the ruins, and I just like books like this, little picture books. So those are the books I picked up at the 4th of July used book sale. So I got 30 books over there used from thrift stores and the Book Nook from last week, and I'll get those maybe this week. I'll show those in a video. But I thought I'd just show you these books I got at the 4th of July used book sale. So yeah, it looks like nothing really I was really that blown out, but I like all kinds of books, all kinds of subject matter, and so some things go with collections. I like European history, travel books, essays. I like books on writing. That's why I got Writing to the Bones. I like reading about the suffrage movement, early feminism, and this goes in my Henry Adams collection. Clover, the tragic love story of Clover and Henry Adams and the brilliant life of the American Gilded Age. Well, I want to read more about Mozart, child prodigy. Always enjoy reading the novels and short stories of Joseph Conrad. Check out this little novel, Cannibals in Love by Mike Roberts. I looked online, he hasn't really written anything else after this. Add to my biographies, you know I'm really into biographies. And I picked up Anne Sexton, Self-Portrait and Letters. There's a picture of her. And Bob Dylan. He's sure gotten old. Look at those. Look at him now, you know, he's really